ve şiddet tutkunu değiliz.
Biz de zindanla da korkutamazsın.
Your country is in big trouble.
Teslim olmanın sınırı yok.
Calls grow louder for Turkey to take concrete action in response to Kurdish peace efforts. Press freedom in Turkey comes under renewed attack, with 4 journalist arrests in Artvin. As Israeli airstrikes intensify against Iranian targets, Kurds across Iran and Iraq re-evaluate political strategies. And in southeast Turkey, Assyrian and Kurdish representatives hold landmark meeting to envision shared futures. Learn more with Media News. In Ankara, pro-Kurdish Dem Party MP Sezai Temeli has called on the Turkish parliament to urgently form a commission to address the long-running Kurdish issue, warning that the moment for peace is now. Speaking at a press conference on Monday, Temeli said the appeal made by jailed Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan earlier this year and the PKK's subsequent decision to lay down arms offered a rare and vital opening. A democratic peace in Turkey could transform the Middle East, he said, urging lawmakers to prioritize political dialogue. If peace with the Kurds can be achieved in Turkey, the entire region will find relief. This includes Syria, Iraq, and even Palestine. Temeli linked worsening prison conditions in Turkey to the ongoing failure to address Kurdish rights, citing reports of mistreatment in Bolu and Karabuk prisons. He also condemned the government's handling of the economic crisis, accusing officials of manipulating inflation data and calling for a 30% pay rise for public sector workers and pensioners. The Dem Party has also requested a meeting with imprisoned Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, the main presidential rival. The Ministry of Justice has yet to respond. 4 journalists have been arrested in Turkey's northeastern province of Artvin on terrorism-related charges, in a move condemned by rights groups as a fresh attack on press freedom. The journalists were detained last week in Istanbul and Bodrum before being transferred to Artvin for questioning. They were formally arrested late on Monday following 3 days in custody. Lawyers say the case contains no criminal evidence beyond routine journalistic work. Charges are reportedly based on copyright payments, phone logs, and professional services provided to news organizations. Journalistic fees and technical support have been treated as criminal acts, said Yücel Arslan, one of the defense lawyers. This file is unexamined and unsupported. 3 other media workers were released under judicial supervision. The arrests follow a string of coordinated police raids across multiple provinces, led by the Artvin Prosecutor's Office under national security powers. Turkey continues to rank among the world's worst offenders for jailing journalists, with press freedom watchdogs warning that anti-terror legislation is routinely misused to silence independent reporting and dissent. As Israeli airstrikes intensify against Iranian targets, Kurdish communities across Iran and Iraq are re-evaluating their political strategies. Erbil-based analyst Dr. Arzu Yilmaz says the collapse of Iran's regional influence could mark a turning point, not only for Kurds but for the wider Middle East. This is more than a war, she said. It's the breakdown of a regional order that's held since 1979. With Iran's proxies weakened in Gaza, Lebanon and Syria, Yilmaz warns that instability is spilling into Iraq. On the 16th of June, US forces intercepted a drone over Erbil, raising fears of escalation if Iranian retaliation hits American assets. Caught between Tehran's suspicions of Israeli collaboration and a strong US presence, Iraq's Kurdish region is on edge. Schools are shut, streets empty, and no protection has been offered for civilians. Meanwhile, Kurds in eastern Iran are openly backing Israeli strikes and advocating for regime change, a move Yilmaz calls a strategic pivot towards a Rojava-style autonomy model. She adds that if Tehran's grip collapses, Shiite dominance in Iraq may weaken, with Sunni forces and Kurdish leadership poised to gain ground. The old status quo is cracking, she concludes. Kurdish demands are no longer whispered, they're being declared. In southeast Turkey, Assyrian and Kurdish representatives have gathered in the historic town of Midyat to commemorate the 1915 Assyrian genocide, known as Seyfo, and to explore new frameworks for peaceful coexistence. The event, recently held at the Federation of Assyrian Associations headquarters, marked 110 years since the Ottoman-era massacre of Assyrians. But it also looked forward with calls for a pluralistic, democratic society rooted in the ideas of imprisoned Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan. Keskin Boyandosh, co-chair of the pro-Kurdish Democratic Regions Party, described the meeting as a peace and democratic society gathering, praising Öcalan's philosophy as a model for administrative and political coexistence among historically persecuted groups. These lands have known great suffering: Assyrians, Armenians, Kurds. Bayındır said, Öcalan's model of coexistence offers a way out. Participants held a moment of silence for victims of Seyfo and all those killed in the struggle for democracy. The event also addressed current regional crises in Iran, Israel, and Palestine, arguing that centralized state systems often breed violence. Assyrian and Kurdish leaders agreed to continue dialogue in closed session as part of a wider outreach initiative promoting grassroots democracy and cultural autonomy, key pillars of Öcalan's democratic confederalist model.
Media News Daily Review.
Biz burada şiddet tutkunu değiliz. Biz de zindanla da korkutamazsın.
Your country is in big trouble.
Teslim olmanın sınırı yok.